Hello and welcome to Sci-Fi Vision for April 7th. Today is our spotlight episode for Marvel's Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. And we have our special guest, James Paxton, who played Young John Garrett. Thank you so much for joining us. Appreciate it. Everybody, if you have any questions, just put them in the chat and we will ask James. Please like the video, hype it if you can, and subscribe to Sci-Fi Vision. That is always appreciated. We are having some issues with YouTube. So if you are having problems, let us know.
Keep reloading.
Did it go live? Mine isn't live.
Yeah, it's live. Keep reloading YouTube because I was doing it on my phone to see if it was working, and it's working now.
Yeah, so it might take you a bit if you're having issues. But anyway, well, so hi, thank you so much for joining us.
Of course. Thank you for having me.
Sure. So I guess thinking back, it's been quite a while since you've been on there. Do you remember how I was going to say how you first got the part, but I guess obviously I'm assuming that you first got the part because of your father. How did that happen, I guess?
Well, actually, yeah, no, it's funny. There's more to the story than about landing the role than just the connection to my dad. What really happened was I had been auditioning for a few other parts on the show. I read for Freddie Malik. I read for Nathaniel Malik. And then I had remembered visiting my dad on the set in 2014 when he was filming at Culver City Studios. I just visited him on set. He was having such a great time with the cast and everybody. He said, "You got to come down and meet everybody." And I met everybody. And I just... I remember meeting Jed Whedon that day, and I realized I had his email, and so I thought, you know what, maybe I should drop him a line all these years later after I'd read for two different parts and just tell him that it's Bill's son James. I read for the couple roles in the show, and he actually responded to me. It was amazing. He was so sweet, and he said, "Oh yes, we've loved your audition tapes. We love your work. We actually have something special in mind, but I can't tell you about what that is just yet." I was like, "Oh, that's interesting." And then I think some months went by, and then they reached out about the part of Young John Garrett, which was, I'm so glad that I didn't play those or get those other roles, because it was just such an honor to get to actually step into the same role that my dad played, but different timeline.
Yeah, I think it was probably a surprise for people too when his character came back as you. You know what I mean? Came back young.
Yeah, 100%.
Got it out of there somewhere. It's a little confusing there. All right, AJ.
It's funny when you first premiered as Young John Garrett, I was like, wow, they did a really good job finding an actor that looks like Bill Paxton. And then at the end of the episode in the show in the cast, I was like, James Paxton. Oh, I was like, that's his son.
Yeah, that was a real treat to see online. A lot of the feedback being, wow, who is this guy? I mean, he's more like Bill than Bill is, and I was just like, and his mannerisms are just so much the same. I was like, that really made me feel good to see that kind of feedback, because, I mean, yeah, I have obviously. It's easier for me being actually related to him to kind of imitate him. But I was really studying how he played the role in the first season to kind of try to really line up, extra dial in those mannerisms and just kind of the way he would deliver stuff as the character, which luckily, wasn't too much of a stretch knowing my dad as well as I do.
What was it like coming? Whoops, sorry. Were you going to say something, AJ?
No, I coughed.
Okay, sorry. What was it like coming onto the set for the first time? Well, you were there before that, but I guess even before that, what was it like coming onto the set? Because I know you were on the Zephyr as well, which would have been pretty cool, I would think.
That was so cool. So returning to the set after all those years to the final season was really, really nerve-wracking for me because I felt a lot of responsibility to do this right. I was so excited and honored to be on the show. But I also, when you've been working, I've been on other shows that runs multiple seasons, and it's like you become a really tight-knit group if you were kind of there from the beginning. So I was a little bit nervous coming in to see how the dynamic would be, with the existing cast who'd been working for so many years. And luckily, as soon as I got on the set, it was like all of my my nerves and everything just were totally like uh set at ease by everybody, like Clark and I mean just everybody, Chloe, like they were so nice, and they just kind of made me feel immediately like I was always part of the family and stuff. And of course they had tons of stories about Dad, and just you know, pulling pranks on the set with him and all kinds of things. And so it was like once I got there, I was like, okay, I can totally relax and feel comfortable because they've accepted me, and I can just focus on really just dialing in the performance and everything. So that it was really, really, truly one of those like full circle moments in life. Yeah.
Very cool. AJ?
So what do you like playing better, the villain or like a good guy?
I think I like playing oh man, you know what is nice about this character is it's like he's a villain, but there's a little bit of a redemptive arc in there for him. And so it's kind of fun to get to play. I'd say playing a villain is more fun in general, but but when it's you know, when it's a character that has some complexities and some gray area, that's even more fun to play. So I think I was able to get that with John Garrett. But you know, John Garrett is the most fun kind of character to play because he kind of, you know, he just leans into that kind of the excitement to do kind of to create havoc and do these bad things and these villainous things. Like he does it all with gusto and charisma and excitement. And so that made him extra fun to play because he's such a colorful character.
I was going to say, I think he enjoyed everything up until when the bombs were going to go off. That was,
yeah.
Then he wasn't too happy about that.
That's true. That's true. And also, you mentioned the Zephyr, Jamie. That set was so crazy cool to step into. I mean, just really, I'd never been on a build quite like it. It's like, you know, that was all on the soundstage, and to get actually to be on the ship, like it was just that was one of the highlights. Like I just couldn't believe it.
That was cool. Yeah, that it seemed like it would be a cool set, but you know, you never know how much is real and how much is green screen and how much is.
Well, a lot of it that was a cool. The show, you know, had all these amazing studio builds. So all those interior sets and everything, most of that is all actual tactile, practical, you know, sets that you walk on and everything. And it's, you know, it's funny when you're eating craft service in the Zephyr and stuff. It was it's cool. I you know, luckily for me, most of the stuff that besides the actual kind of teleporting effects and things like that, I didn't know quite how it'd look. Most of it I saw just based on the production design of the sets. I was like, this is you know, they've created most of the world in practical effects.
I was going to say that kind of leads us into Kimberly's question, which you started answering, but how was it working with the special effects in particular?
Yes, Kimberly, that's a good question. I remember the special effects were a little tricky to work with the teleportation because I had to sell like you know, what it would be like in the at first John doesn't have like much control over the way he teleports, so he's like landing in funky places and stuff, and he's all jostled when he's and so some of the tricky stuff was more like once he's mastered the teleportation, like there's you know, he's able to kind of come in and land when he appears in kind of a powerful like landing stance. And I remember it was Ming Na who was telling me, hey, James, you got to work on this superhero landing. Like this doesn't look like a supervillain, you know, landing coming out of the effects. He's like, you got to work on this. Let me help you. And she started demonstrating, and I was working with her and her stunt double and the stunt coordinator. And so it was like it was just tricky kind of thinking about those things that I didn't necessarily go into the role thinking like, wow, yeah, this is a lot of this is very stylized and you know, it's like it's a true like comic book world come to life. And so I had to think about those things. Oh yeah, he's got to come out of the teleportation with a little oomph and swag there, you know. And so the special effects were it was a little tricky with the teleportation stuff, just because I wasn't sure exactly how it would look, and so it was, you kind of have to go out on a limb, and they'd be like, "This will look good. Trust us. Do this. Do it like this." And so, so yeah, that was probably the biggest challenge, but that was it was fun. I mean, special effects are exciting because you don't really know how it's gonna look until later.
Oh, hey, AJ.
So you just talked about the teleportation powers. If you could have any superhero power, what would it be?
Honestly, teleportation would be like high up there on my list. I love. I mean, I feel like you can do so much with that power. The kind of it gives you access to almost like all these other scenarios that you can put yourself in a position of power with the teleportation. I'd love to fly. I think would be sick, and I always loved like the Flash. So extreme speed would be cool. So I'd put those are probably top 3 there.
Were you a Marvel fan or comic book fan, I guess I should say, before doing this?
Yes, I was. I remember, when I was young, I would, well, actually, even before this, but I went to a sleepaway camp in Wyoming when I was young. It was kind of a Western camp, and you couldn't call your parent. You couldn't have a phone or anything. You couldn't call your home or anything. And Dad would mail me these Marvel comics, mostly like the Amazing Spider-Man, Fantastic Four. I read a lot of Moon Knight. And I still have some of those old comics, and I actually got into them even earlier than that. Like my dad was shooting in London when I was quite young on Thunderbirds, and there was a great comic book store near where we were staying called They Walk Among Us, and I would always spend any allowance that I got on comic books there and graphic novels and stuff like that. So yes, I was, yeah.
Now you got to be a part of comic. Well, universe of comics, I guess I should say. I'm not sure your character is, but AJ.
Mm-hmm.
So when Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. first started, it was literally sold as a companion to the MCU movies. And now they're kind of like, well, Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. isn't in the prime timeline. How do you feel about that? Do you feel that they are selling it short, or?
I think they're definitely selling it short. To be honest, I wasn't aware of that.
Wow.
Yeah, it's kind of been argued about, I guess, by different people that it is or it isn't. I don't know.
Huh. That's crazy. I think it absolutely should be. I mean, it totally should be. I don't see what would, exclude it. That's news to me, AJ. I'm sorry, I didn't know about that.
No, we did a watch party yesterday for your episodes in Discord. We keep saying, they keep bringing back Daredevil and Jessica Jones. They need to bring back S.H.I.E.L.D. Maybe someday we can hope, right?
I think things come around eventually. I think they might, yeah.
Oh, that would be cool. Let's see. A couple of these are comments. Karen said that Wyatt Russell should talk to you for tips. Kurt Russell's son, she means, from Monarch.
I'm not sure what he would need tips for, but I appreciate that.
I don't know. But, Michael also says, you're awesome. When you were on the show, you did your father justice.
Thank you, Michael. Thank you so much for the comment. I really, really appreciate that. I just leaned into, like, would he love this, and I just knew he would be over the moon about it, and it was a nice way to connect to him, and in a lot of ways it's incredibly cathartic. It kind of, it was this therapeutic kind of release. It's been tough to navigate the years with him gone, and so anytime I get to celebrate him and kind of tap into his spirit that way is something that is it means the world to me. So yeah.
Let's see. B says, is there another character in the Marvel universe that you'd like to get to play if you could?
That's a really good question. I had my answer would have been Moon Knight, before they made Moon Knight. So yeah, I think it would. I think Moon Knight was kind of always at the top of my list of somebody to play. I'll keep thinking on that though. Got to come up with somebody else now.
Yeah. I wanted to ask you about your fight scene with with uh, I can't talk. God, I hate when I do that.
No, it's all
With
good.
with May. May, no, I couldn't get it out.
Melinda
May.
May. Ming.
Yeah.
Yeah. That fight scene was incredible. I'm actually wearing my Stunts Unlimited shirt that the stunt team who did all the fight choreo for Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. gave me. It's a special 7th season. It says something about the stunt team on here for Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. And that was basically kind of some of the first like really detailed fight choreography that I ever got to do in my career that was more complicated than just like slugging somebody and ducking or something like that. This was a very like, okay, you know, this had so many different like moments to the fight. And I remember I met well, I had Alex Kinji, who's stunt doubled me for over 10 years now. He's been my guy. We always work together. He was on that. But you know, they wanted me and I wanted to do as much as I could, at least, you know, that they could use. And Ming is just, she's such a pro. I mean, she has an amazing stunt double too, whose name is also Ming. But like she kind of already already was just so dialed in with all of that physicality and with fight stuff. So it was that was probably the most like exhausting but rewarding day on set for me, was when I finished that scene because I had rehearsed it for like a week with her. Like we would basically go with on any time between like setups on a take or something, we'd go to another part of the set and I would rehearse it with the stunt team and then with Ming and then with my stunt double and all this stuff. And so that was like a good solid like week of rehearsal before we actually even filmed it. And Ming Na's in such good shape. I mean, she was kicking my butt in that. I was like, damn, they really have to stay in good shape on this show. It's it's a physical show, way more physical than I kind of anticipated for some reason. I should have known better, but yeah, that was one of the most like intensive, full on kind of like parts of the whole experience for me, was getting to do that fight scene.
Yeah, I was gonna say it was quite a big fight scene, so that was cool.
Yeah, yeah. Just
AJ.
keeping it all in your head and like knowing like you know not actually, you know, hurting each other, but like just keeping like, okay, this happens now and this happens now, but you have to make it look like you don't know what's coming when and this and that, and that just adds a whole nother thing to the acting process. It's just like, oh man, this is a lot. But I was in good hands with the team, I gotta say. Like, I like shout out to the team. So I had to pull this shirt out. I hadn't worn it in a while, but I found it and had to bring it out and honor them. Stunt team killer on this show.
Jay.
What was one of your favorite scenes to shoot?
I think the scene where, you know, Garrett is trying to convince the team to give him a shot to like help them. You know, I think that's like where he's kind of turning, you know, he's kind of going back to the good side. I think that was probably, and he's trying to kind of convince them to trust him. I think that was probably one of my favorite scenes to get to do. Or like the scene where I've got like you know, they teleport the handcuffs onto me and stuff, and I'm like pretending to like still work for Nathaniel Malick, but you know, now I'm moving. Those scenes were fun. Yeah. Yeah. Yeah, God, it was honestly, every moment was really fun though. Like actually taking the power, that whole scene was really cool, getting the inhuman power. The death scene was tough because I was having so much fun, and I actually didn't even know until I got that episode that he was getting shot shot in the head. So that was a tough one, because I was like, damn, I'm not ready to say goodbye to this now. I wish I'd, you know, been able to come into the show earlier, because it was just every scene was very fun. Yeah. Although I never had done a project. This was an interesting thing that I learned on this project. They are very word perfect to the script. So I've never ever done any other show or film where they're so, like the script supervisor and stuff and the show creators, they want exactly what is written on the script. You do not really like add, I mean, not to my experience on the show, you wouldn't add like a little improv extra line or something, which is something I do a lot in my other work. I do a lot of improv. I like come from an improv background. So that one was very, I remember there was one line in particular. This will show you how close to detail they are. I say like, Twisted Sister, like, or something something. I saw these guys open up for Twisted Sister, and I kept saying open up for, and they wanted me to say open for, and every time I couldn't get it right. And then I think they ended up just using one of the takes where I said open up for, but it was like one of those things where I only got it, remember to do it open up for. Like, it's like literally they were so down to the detail on everything. So, and in a lot of ways that actually was quite nice. Like once I learned that, it was like, you really just play what's on the page and they know what they want and what they're looking for. And it's so nice to be a part of just such a well-oiled machine. They already know the world and what they're going for. And so, but anyways, that just, it was really, the attention to detail was deep.
I was going to say that's kind of, I think, up to the director, but usually that doesn't happen very often, does it? I guess it depends on the show.
It doesn't happen in my experience much. I mean, you can't go completely off script or whatever, but if you add, like, you tweak little things and put it in your own voice, it's usually welcome. But yeah, no, I mean, it was, but it just gave me more respect for like, they have their script and they really work so hard on those scripts to get them exactly the way they want them for the show and for the universe. And when you're playing with something like that's existed long before you, you just, you give it the utmost respect and attention to detail and rock with it.
I want to ask you something else about the teleportation. I know you were saying like how you had to, get the landing and everything. Did you, because you made me wonder when you were talking, did you at all like look at how, I don't know what Finn, I guess his name was Finn, what he did as Gordon with the teleportation, or did you more try to do sort of your own thing when you did how it worked, I guess?
Yeah, I wanted to do my own thing that was different, because I think that kind of thing, everybody would move differently, even though they would have the same actual power of teleportation. The way they would come in and out of that in their own physicality would be unique and different. So I didn't want to copy anything. But then Ming was like, okay, but this would look really cool just like this. So then I ended up just doing what Ming showed me. She was like, you got to land with some power, like, and yeah, that was so, but I wanted to do it, my own way for sure.
No, I get that. AJ?
Kimberly wants to know, or says, I liked how your character had a levity with being a villain type character. It made your character more layered and not just a typical bad guy who you root against.
Yeah, I totally appreciated that about John Garrett too. That's why I wanted to make him likable. He's such a little shit, but he's like so fun to watch. Like, and yes, he does these bad things, but it's like, if you make him charismatic and likable, and it's just more entertaining in general, and you do become more invested in the character, and that's why I like how the writers the show ended up kind of giving him this like redemption arc that he almost fully kind of sees through, but he's like, so he goes out on the side of the good guys, I'd like to think, and so I loved that he had layers. He was a totally multifaceted character, and not just a one note bad guy, because also the thing about bad guys and is they never think that they're the bad guy, so you don't play a villainous role or something thinking, where the character's thinking, oh, I'm so villainous, I'm so evil, no, they feel just totally justified in whatever they're doing. They they don't see their actions as like this evil thing. So so that's kind of the secret to playing a convincing bad guy is you don't play him like he's thinking that he's a bad guy. You play him like he thinks he's the good guy, or he's the justified one. He's the one that's so so yeah.
Karen said, it sounds like you really enjoyed it, but were there any episodes or scenes that were difficult or challenging other than getting the lines exactly right, we'll say?
Yeah. I did really enjoy this job, Karen. I think sort of not to just retread over stuff I've already said, but it's kind of like the challenging part was like the week before I stepped onto the job, where I knew I was going to do this, and I was doing all this prep work, and I was going back and watching old episodes, watched the first season, watched Dad. That part was hard just because it was so much anxiety and anticipation, which goes hand in hand with just wanting to do it justice, and making sure that I like really do everybody justice on this. But then so that was probably one of the hardest parts, was actually before I got filming. But then my nerves were set at ease. And then I would say it was like the physical fight scene with Ming-Na, like just the like that was tiring. I mean, those actors had a lot of endurance, and it was a physical show. Then trying to be word perfect was challenging. But most all in all, there was a director named Gary Brown that I worked with, and he was just so like, he was just loving like everything that I was doing. So he kind of just built up my confidence, and it allowed me to really lean in there. But lean into the character and enjoy it, because John Garrett's enjoying the ride. But then one of the most challenging things was kind of like, as quickly as it began. I mean, I filmed on the show for probably about 6 weeks, 7 weeks. As quickly as it started, though, it felt like it ended, and then trying to suddenly come down from the experience and the excitement, that was also challenging. And just being a little sad that the show was over, and it was bittersweet. Yeah.
I was gonna say, I'm sad the show's over, and I just found it like about 6 months ago, I think. So.
Oh, really? You did, Jamie? Yeah. Oh, cool. Yeah, I love how it's reaching new audiences. Yeah.
Life Reaction says, was there ever initially going to be a different fate planned out for young Garrett? Pretty good twist with who killed him, but would have been nice to see him live. I agree.
Life Reactions. That's a really good question, and I'm sorry to say that I don't know the answer to if there was originally a different fate. When you're working with such a famous like IP, and especially in something like the Marvel universe, they have to, the creators and the producers and and the writers, they have to keep everything like really close to the chest. That's why, like, when I was auditioning for those other characters on the show, and then Jed said, "Oh, we have something in mind for you, but we can't tell you yet." It's all about trying to keep. You don't want these kinds of spoilers getting out there and stuff. And I didn't know that John Garrett was going to die. In that episode where he dies, like I was going from episode to episode, and I would only get one at a time, and we'd do a big table read, and the writers were still literally working on that show and trying to figure out what the best way to kind of tie everything up would be right up until the very end. So they don't really let you in on knowing where it's going, in a way, which is very kind of tricky, like, but you just kind of fly by the seat of your pants a little bit. I think that what happened to him is obviously justice, and in the way with the connection to who killed him is a nice way to make sense and have some sort of kind of vengeance there. But also, I like that at least he goes out. I would have liked to seen John Garrett live, but I like that he goes out, helping the good guys. He goes out like, dare I say, in a heroic fashion.
I was gonna say, was it fun playing a death scene? I mean, it was a pretty quick, I guess death scene, but you still got to do, bullet wound and all that. What was that?
Yeah, Yeah, that was a great death scene. Because I never been killed that way. I've been like hung and all kinds of things like before, and in other projects. But this one was like it was tricky because they were like, okay, you get shot in the head, and the head like kind of snaps back, and then the body follows. And it was another tricky stunt thing that I had to work out really right to sell the right way and make it look like, whoa, you know, shocking and kind of intense and just like unexpected. And I remember that my neck was quite sore the next day, because you don't really feel it in the moment, but when you do, you know, I probably shot at least 8 takes of that. You know, I mean, not like just different angles and stuff, different coverage, and you feel it in your neck the next day. I kind of had a little bit of whiplash on that, but I just thought it was a pretty intense, badass way to die. So you know, shot right in the middle of the head.
Just unfortunately, he shoots first and asks questions later, I guess, basically.
Yeah, yeah. But I think
Mhm.
that they did it in a good way. Of course, I would always love to see John Garrett live, but I think it makes sense, and it's kind of satisfying also to see him get some comeuppance there, and hopefully prevent, you know, John Garrett from wreaking potential future havoc in the timeline.
Yeah, well, there's still other timelines, so you know.
Yeah, true.
You still
It's
have
Yeah,
also it's also interesting because both versions of John Garrett were shot.
yeah,
Just the older John was shot with a really super powered weapon.
yeah,
yeah. No,
bigger gun.
totally. It's kind of John Garrett's thing, you know.
AJ, you have another one, or want to pull from the chat, or there we go.
Kimberly wants to know: is there any genre that you would like to you enjoy working in, or one that you would like to work in?
Um, yeah, that's another great question, Kimberly. You know, luckily in the last couple of years, I've kind of hit some bucket list genres that I've worked in. I got to do this sci-fi, like kind of action horror that I spoke to Jamie about not too long ago, called
Very
Dragon.
good.
Thanks, Dragn. It's like kind of a campy genre film, but kind of harkens back to, like, you know, Predator and stuff, and like 1980s kind of action horror. And that was really cool. It was kind of about this sentient AI drone military technology that's kind of hunts down this group of people. Um, and so that kind of checked out when I had wanted to work in some more sci-fi. I did that. I had always wanted to do a Western. I think probably most actors all kind of fantasize about doing a Western. It's sort of like, it was kind of the original epic, you know, movie genre, you know, and that brought people to theaters. And so I got to do a great Western with Malcolm McDowell called Last Train to Fortune. That's it's actually a very wholesome, kind of family friendly Western too, which is nice. And but it's still got action and all kinds of stuff. And it comes out early May. It's looking like. And then I've done a good amount of horror. Always loved doing horror. And I'm about to go to New Jersey for 6 weeks on April 17th to shoot like an indie drama, which is kind of about these kids in this town, and they're going nowhere fast, and they're getting into pills and drugs and things. And it's, you know, it's not the most uplifting subject matter, but it is gritty and kind of raw and real. And it's nice to get to kind of just do a drama for once too. Um, I would love to do a biopic though. That's what I'm trying. That's what I'm going for. I would love to play a real person. You know, John Garrett's probably the closest. I know he's not a real person, but he's the closest thing that I've had so far in the, you know, in all the years I've been doing this, is was playing somebody that, you know, had been played. He was my dad, but he was still played by somebody else, and I had to, who was a real person that I had to kind of dial in the mannerisms of, and study. And I would love to do that with like a musician or something. I've always wanted to play Tom Petty, play guitar and stuff, or maybe Bowie. I mean, I don't know. It would be an immense honor. I think it's kind of the highest like honor and challenge you can get as an actor, to do like a biopic, play a real person. There's a lot of responsibility. It's very challenging. It's hard to do it really well. So I think that's what I would love to do, genre wise, biopic.
I was going to ask you who, but you already answered that. So
Yeah.
let's see.
I mean, it could be others too, but
Okay. Is there a particular character or actor you wish you'd had more screen time with?
That's a good question. I think I wish I had gotten to work even more closely with Clark Gregg. Just really love being around him as a person. I kind of felt like a kindred spirit that he had to my dad, and he kind of reminded me of my dad in a weird way. And it I just kind of I think I'm grateful that I got to do those scenes with him, but I would have liked to have worked even more closely with him. I think so. I'm gonna go with Coulson.
All right. This is kind of, I was going to say, what you were saying, if you want to continue, Life Reaction said, did your experience make you feel closer to your father? And since they worked with him season 1, did they have stories to tell you of him on the set? Paraphrasing.
Yes. Yeah. No. Totally. It definitely made me feel closer. I feel closest to my dad since he's been gone. When I'm actually getting to just be on any sets, just be on a set, I just feel him there, because I just think back on all the years of work that he did, and the films and the shows that he made, and I feel very proud to get to engage in his family business. And I think it's kind of my direct conduit to his spirit now. And so this was definitely therapeutic to play this role, because it was like I got to really tap into. I just remember how much fun Dad had on this show. Like he was getting on, especially with like Clark Gregg. Like he was, he's always pranking him in his trailer, doing different things, like coming in going, did you get the new pages, and oh yeah, there's a whole page 1 rewrite of this episode, we're filming it in an hour, man. And Clark going, what are you talking about? Like you're the guest star on my show. Stuff like that. He was I think he just had I think the whole cast had a really like playful, fun kind of spirit with each other. And so dad was always like, he was a consummate team player. He loved to engage with others, and an ensemble that has as much fun as that ensemble had on that show. So yeah, definitely made me feel closer to him. And I was scared, of course, to step into it and do it, because it was big shoes to fill. And just not just because it's Dad, but just because of the universe of it, and the material. And but I realized, what, he would just lean into having fun, and it'll translate in the performance. And so that's what I did. I just kept hearing his voice in my head.
Yeah, well, you definitely channeled him. I kind of did the same thing AJ did. I'm like, looked up who you were, and it's like, okay, that makes sense.
Yeah.
So you talked about the kind of role, and AJ, if you want to jump in, also you can tell me to shut up and jump in. But if you said the kind of role that you wanted to play, but is there somebody specific outside of S.H.I.E.L.D. That you'd like to get to work with yet that you haven't?
In general, like
just in general, in the future, not related to. I mean, I guess it could be related to S.H.I.E.L.D., but just outside of the show.
Outside of the show, of just like an actor that I would love to work with,
or director,
or director.
Just anybody who you want to.
Oh gosh, that's a good question. I mean, it's crazy. It's like, as an actor, you're kind of at the mercy of like the jobs that you do get, and the auditions that come up. I mean, you obviously you dare to dream of like, who I would love to work with so and so one day, but it's kind of, I kind of have a while ago kind of let go of a lot of that, like, and just, I'm kind of a firm believer in, you get the parts you're meant to get, and you get to. I actually learned that from one of my favorite people I've ever worked with, is Julianne Nicholson. She's on Paradise on Hulu right now. It's a great show, and I did a show with her called Eyewitness for USA Network, and She taught me that. She said, she'd been through all the ups and downs of this, and she was like, I'm a firm believer, you get the parts you're meant to get, and she's an Emmy Award winner, incredible actor. I would love to work with her again. But I've been very fortunate to work with people that like Malcolm McDowell, and I mean, I've done scenes with John Travolta, and I mean, just I kind of sometimes like I don't take often a time to just kind of look back and be like, wow, yeah, I've worked with this person and this person. I feel very lucky, and and it's kind of blowing my mind just thinking about it. But yeah, there's always I want to work with great writers. It's not necessarily anybody in particular, but it's just the right stories and good writers and I mean, obviously there's people like Yorgos Lanthimos would be amazing to work with, like as a director. I love Sean Baker, like I love the Florida Project. I would love to work with Catherine Hardwicke again. She directed Twilight, or Catherine Bigelow would be amazing to work with. But yeah, I'm I'm open. I want to work with people who love and care about it as much as I do, and that's really the main. It doesn't matter who is who. It's just who is driven and talented and smart and a good person and fun to work with collaboratively. It's the most collaborative medium pretty much on earth is film. So it's like, it takes a village of different people who all do different things and are very specialized, and they're all adding up to the goal. So I try to, not put anybody too high on a pedestal. We're all just trying to make good work.
AJ, you have another question?
Your cameo in Twisters, what did that mean to you?
Yeah, Twisters meant a lot to me as well. I think that, I mean, I'm not comparing the experiences because they're in a weird way, like you'd think like, oh, they're both tied to Dad, but they weren't really that comparable. I'd say Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. was a more like in-depth, connected experience to my dad because I was really playing the character that he played. Twisters was more of like an homage to him, kind of for fans of the original, and just to kind of and also I was honored that they asked me to do it. I wanted to I show appreciation for that. But that one was because I'm at an interesting kind of crossroads sometimes, like in my career, where it's like, I know that my dad in many ways is most proud of me for like the jobs that don't have anything to do with him, like are the ones that I booked just through the audition process, and that most of my career he's not been around for. And I know that he would, he always said, you got to kind of get out and establish yourself, as a separate kind of person too. And I struggle with that because I could talk about him for hours. He was my best friend, and I want to do things that are connected to him. But of course, it's just like you also have to, I'm trying to build a career of longevity, and it's tough sometimes. For the headline to not be Bill's son, James, this, it's like, it's a tricky, weird thing to try to describe because I'm so proud of that. And I would never hide that. But I also want people to know, like, I'm a trained actor who has, I'm a studied actor who's been doing this for 11 years professionally. And most of that, 9 years of that without Dad and around to see it. So Twisters was more of a tricky one for me to actually, I had to think about that one when they asked. I wasn't 100% sure. I was like, do I do do I do it? Do I not? Should I create some separation here? What would Dad want me to do? What would he think would be best for me? What would he want for him, for him? And I just realized, what am I thinking for? This is an incredible opportunity. Like I could be so lucky, to get to go celebrate him yet again, and something that's connected to really probably his most iconic and celebrated, well-known feature film. I would say is probably Twister. So I realized, get out of your head, man. He would tell me that, and do like. show up and have fun with that too. And so that one was a little more complicated though, just the whole process of it, and for me. But then I got there, and of course I'm always so happy that I said yes and did something. And I've become friends with Glenn Powell, and he's such a great guy. He's a real classy, good dude, and I loved working with Lee Isaac Chung. That's a director I would love to work with again. He was fantastic. So Twisters was crazy though, because it was like stepping on that set. It was the biggest budget set I've ever been on. You know, it was like $150 million shooting budget, which I know ballooned to even more, obviously. But just to be there, I was like, damn, this is the most amount of people I've ever seen on a film set in my life. Like this is crazy. And I was so again, I always get very nervous because I care, you know, I put a lot into it. And so I didn't even notice that the camera department, normally I'm really attuned with all the departments. I like to like meet everybody if I can. It was kind of impossible on that one. I didn't even know they were shooting that movie on actual film, because I was so locked into just trying to because there was so much going on. It was like they had a huge wind machine and like a crane with like simulated lightning, and they were blowing debris at us. And I mean, it was so strong when we were running out of that motel and the twister was coming that like you had to kind of pitch yourself at an angle against the force of it, because it was really like, talk about legit like practical effects. They had a huge wind machine. It was wild. So I'm glad I got a little taste of that big budget kind of blockbuster movie set. It's always a learning experience.
Sounds like a lot of fun. Let me bring up Karen's question here. Do you write, do you direct, or do you want to? Do you want to do that part of it?
Karen, yeah, I do write. I have been working on something, not really ready to talk about what like it is specifically, other than it's a screenplay. I would love to direct. You know, my dad's real passion lay in directing, and he directed a couple features, and it's definitely something that I would love to do. I'm you know, I want to be a consummate filmmaker, and that's what Dad always wanted to be as well. He found success in acting, but he worked a lot in many different departments. I've worked in a lot of different departments on a film set. I've worked in the props department. I've worked art department. I've done crafty. I was a production assistant. Anything just to be on set would be something that I would throw myself into. But yeah, I would love to direct one day. And the thing that I'm writing, I would love to show Julianne Nicholson at some point. So that's kind of where she's one of my favorite people I've ever worked with as an actor. I just think she's like endlessly talented. So yeah, those are definitely goals of mine.
I was going to say, did she or any of the other actors that you were mentioning, did they ever give you like advice specific to acting? I know you said what she said before, but like specific acting advice that kind of you remember that you can think of. If you can, it's okay. I just was curious.
No. It's a good question. I mean, you pick up like tidbits of advice from everybody you work with. Sometimes that advice is more like philosophical to the overall like art of acting. Sometimes it's very specific, like it's like things like that you learn all those kinds of specific basics pretty early on in your career. But it's things like if you're doing a heavy emotional scene, most scenes you start shooting a wide far out coverage. If you're doing a really emotional scene where you kind of have to conjure the emotion and break down and maybe cry and stuff like that, you don't want to blow that all in the wide shot. You kind of want to like reserve that you want to always know your frame. That's what this is about. Is basically like you want to know what they're seeing in the camera, and what kind of coverage it is, because you can spend yourself like on all that taxing emotional kind of turmoil in a performance. Like if that's what the scene is, if you blow that all in the wide, you're really exhausted by the time they push in on you and things like that. But then more of the best my favorite acting advice though that I've ever gotten was honestly from Dad, and it was about, it helped me separate, because I would get really nervous about early on in my career when I was first studying, going to acting classes, and I was going on these auditions and starting to play small parts here and there. I'd put a lot of pressure on myself, like, and he was like, look, you need to just kind of remember that it's not James up there on camera. It's so and so. It's John Garrett. It's who you're. It's the character's moment to come to life, and if you just kind of think about what the character is thinking and feeling, you can get some separation from your own kind of ego and insecurities and hangups, and really, and then you're doing it justice too, because you're focusing on the right things, which is just the performance and the character. You're removing all that other stuff, and you're getting some separation from that, and that's helps me the most. And then also, really, this is the most basic thing: is acting is reacting. Acting is listening. In acting class, we would have a common exercise that we would do like once a week with my coach, Vincent Chase. He'd be like, it was called picking up triggers. So I'd say, like, AJ, for example, like, that's a nice new boat you have there, and then you think to yourself, the exercise is you verbalize the trigger. You go, new boat, like was what I asked you, like, oh, like what the subject is, new boat. Oh yeah, it is a nice boat, right? Yeah, I just got that last week from here. And then you work on that for a while, and then you go, okay, now just say that trigger in your head, and don't verbalize it. But it helps color your reaction, and it makes it more natural and kind of conversational. And so it's like, that was just like, a more specific thing that we would do in acting class, which is, it's really, you don't have to overcomplicate things sometimes. It's just about finding what works for you. But that one, I think, is, just acting basics. Yeah. Sorry, I'm so long-winded with my answers.
No, you're fine. Life Reaction says, since Marvel has been doing a reset in the next few years, if you had to choose someone other than Moon Knight, who would you want to be? Somebody who don't have any.
Oh, that's yeah, damn. I mean, I like, obviously I loved X-Men. Getting to do like anything like X-Men would be kind of crazy. Any of those characters, like, I don't know, what could you see me playing? If you don't mind me
Havoc.
asking you. Habit? Or sorry, did you say
Havoc.
Gambit?
No,
Oh,
Havoc.
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 Oh, you just
Not
reminded
sure.
me though. I loved Gambit though when I was younger. Like,
Oh, I do too.
Gambit's a fun
Gambit's my favorite.
character. Havoc though, that's cool. Yeah. I should have maybe anticipated this question.
Okay, I was gonna say, I don't know as much about the Marvel universe, so I don't even know who that is. So.
Oh, I mean, there's so many great characters.
Do you know who Scott Summers is in the X-Men, Jamie? Cyclops? It's Cyclops' brother.
Oh, okay. I see.
Yeah,
I know
always loved Cyclops. I remember when James Marsden played Cyclops, and I like dug that. Yeah, life reactions. Let me know if you see me playing any of, besides Moon Knight, any other character, if you have, what you could see, if you can see it at all, not to assume. But I'd be honored to play, play whatever.
To that. Sorry, I didn't mean to cut you off. Go ahead.
Oh, no. I was finished.
No, I just said they said Cyclops. I don't know if that was in response to what you said or if they just were saying about Cyclops.
Oh, Cyclops. Yeah, I was actually, Cyclops was in there when I was thinking X-Men. Because I would love, I collected these things called Hero Clicks when I was a kid. Did you guys ever have those? They're like miniature Marvel figures. They also made them for DC and stuff. And they had like a little turn dial with like different attack stats and special attack and different things. And it was a board game that I never played because I was more of a collector. But I had all kinds of figurines like when I was young. So I'm trying to think of like more characters right now. But Yeah, I think Cyclops is definitely up there though for me too. I always like Scott Silver's.
Cool. Kimberly suggested Quicksilver too.
Quicksilver would be sick. Yeah, Quicksilver is really yeah. Damn, I like that answer. Thanks, Kimberly. I like that one.
Lots of cool characters. Let's go one more from the chat. I knew this was coming. What kind of shows or movies do you enjoy watching? Is what this is about.
Yeah. I'm really eclectic. Like I watch like I will watch like in the same night like a black and white movie from like the 40s and then like a brand new film. I you know I love like kind of mystery films, stuff that's kind of inspired by true crime stories. I enjoy like but also dramas. I really watch. I think you kind of have to always be open to watching, as much as is out there, because I mean, if you work like kind of around the business, or just if you enjoy that. But I'm kind of like I've been more and more into like comedies and stuff these days, just trying to watch some lighter things. And I've been kind of working in more comedy stuff. I just did a film for the Laugh Factory produced called Toad, about these like psychedelic toads, and it's kind of this wild comedy adventure, stoner comedy adventure. So I've been watching like a lot of those kinds of things lately. But if you got any recommendations, I'm always adding stuff to the list.
I was going to say,
I love independent films.
They watch from. Most of the people from our show came from that watch our show came to it from the show From. So that's why.
Yeah.
So if you haven't seen that, watch that. It's a good show.
It's called From.
Right.
From.
Yeah, From on MGM. Yeah, it's like a horror sci-fi mystery with Harold.
Have you ever seen? Have you ever seen? I think it's called Dark on
Yes.
Netflix.
Yeah. Love that.
Yeah, Dark. I remember I watched that in the beginning of COVID, and I remember that show kind of blew my mind. Talk about like time travel and different timelines and stuff, and
that's crazy.
Characters at different ages. That's a really unique show. I think it's German, isn't it?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah. Well, you might like From then if you like that, I think.
Okay, From. I'll check that out.
Yeah. Is there anything else? I know you talked about a lot of your other projects, but is there anything else you want to promote before you go that you have coming up? I know we've kept you almost an hour.
No problem. It's been such a pleasure talking with you guys, and I appreciate everybody in the chat asking questions as well. I have a film called Grind that is playing. It's like a horror satire, so it's kind of a horror comedy, but it's got some great kills in it. It's an anthology story, so it's got 4 interlocking stories. There are different segments, but they all build on each other. And that just played at South by Southwest, and it's playing Panic Fest, and it's going to like a ton of other festivals right now. So would love to keep an eye out for that. And Dragon, Dragn, that's a film that's out now on Screenbox TV. Also, you can rent it on like Amazon or Apple and YouTube and Google Movies. But if you have Screenbox, it's on there with a subscription. But that's like a really kind of fun movie that I'm promoting. And then I've got Last Train to Fortune, the Western that I was talking about with Malcolm McDowell, coming out in early May. So please look out for that.
Very cool. And if anybody wants to watch me talk to him about Dragon quite at length, I think with the writer, that is under our video tab. You could find that there. Well, thank you so much for coming. I really appreciate it, and looking forward to seeing the rest of new stuff as it comes out. And we'll keep looking for it. Thank you so much for joining us. Really appreciate it.
I really appreciate it, Jamie. Thank you, and thank you, AJ. And I would love to do this anytime. You guys are great, and I really appreciate it. And it's always a privilege to get to talk about these things in depth. And so thank you.
That's fun. I'm sure Jen's gonna feel bad she missed it. I'm not sure. I'm guessing something happened because she had to miss part of her other show too before. So unfortunately, she did not make it. But yeah. Thanks.
Next time.
Yeah, next time. All right. Well, everybody, please come back in an hour for our Fandom Access show. We'll be here and have even more to talk about. So, but thank you so much, and everybody.
Thank you guys. All right, have a great night.
Good night.
We'll see you guys.
Good night.